Hi, welcome to COM125 Interpersonal Communication. My name is Marlene Adzema and I will be your instructor for this course. I wanted to take a few minutes to show you around the course, show you where you can find all important information for the class so you can set yourself up to succeed this semester. So up here you see all these tabs. These are all important for this class, and so we'll go through each tab and I'll talk a little bit about what's under each of these. Here's your course homepage, which is what I'm on now, and here is a news bar. So this will look a little different for you. I just want to show you from the instructor view first so I can show you the news items. If you click here, if there's no news item that appears, click here and click Go to News Tool, and that'll take you to that weekly news item. I post a news item each Monday at 12:01 a.m. It goes live, and so you want to make sure when you log into the course each week on Monday that you first take a look at the weekly news item so you know what to expect that week. Under the news item you'll see a to-do list that'll outline what's happening that week. You'll see some learning objectives for the class, and then you'll see some content. It's really important that you read this weekly content so that you understand what's happening that week. Lots of times I include supplemental information in here so that you want to make sure you take the time to read through this. I'll include due dates, assignments, etc. And so you want to make sure each week start out on the course homepage and then click on the weekly news item for that week. Let's get into content next. And so I'm just going to take a look at that from the student view for you. And when we look at content, this is where all of the content for the course is housed, and so this is where you'll find all assignment information as well as weekly assignments. So if you look here along the left, you'll see this table of contents. This is important because this is where you're going to see all the information for the class is in this table of contents. And so obviously you found this tab because you're taking a look at the course tour. You want to make sure that you carefully read the syllabus. I would recommend downloading it. So you can download it by just clicking on this arrow, clicking there. I would download it and print it out so that you have a copy that you can carefully read. And you can also, though, if you don't want to download it or don't have a printer, you can just click here and that'll link you to the syllabus. You'll notice these blue links here. This is how you go back into the content. So if I want to go here, I click there, or I can go back into the table of contents. And if you look down here, you'll see some information here, my contact information, which you can click on this again and that'll pull up information for that particular semester, including office hours, my office number, phone number, etc. And then again I can click back on the table of contents. If you come down here, you'll notice that you see these different modules divided by week. Depending on if you're in a full term or accelerated course, you'll see a different number of weeks here, but this is where the content for each week in the course is housed. So all you need to do is click here on the module and you'll see a similar format each week. So the first thing you want to do is take a look at that to-do list, which is the same to-do list that's on the news item each week, but this is just a nice overview of what you need to do each week. And then also each week you'll see links to anything that's due that week. So whether it's discussion questions, quizzes, if there's a video I want you to watch, I'll have a link in there. And so take a few minutes at the beginning of the class to just look around the course, look around the content page, and familiarize yourself with what information is in here. So if there's a paper due, you can click on that and that'll link you to the Dropbox, and then you'll see the PDF. You can click on that there, and then again if you want to go backwards, you just click on these links up here. So you can take a look around the course content page this first week. I would encourage you to do that. In addition to the weekly modules, I've also got links to the various assignments that are due. And again, you can just click on that, and then if you go back up, it'll pull it up over here, and you can familiarize yourself with the assignments that are due. I also have web links here, and this is just our links to different websites that I find interesting or relate to some of the things we talk about. Some of these I refer to in our weekly content, some I don't. So some of that's just for your personal interest. Reviews to our quizzes, final exam can be found here. As well as extra credit options, slideshow content that correlates with the chapters, and some additional content. And so you can familiarize yourself with all the content for the course. Make sure that you're following along each week. Click on that week's module so that you know what is due. If you move over here, here's a class list. Here's where you'll be able to link to the individuals in the class. I'm not going to leave that up because that's a list of students, but you can click next to somebody's name and email them. So for example, if you wanted to send me an email, you can email me directly through D2L and the class list, or you can also email me at my direct Red Rocks email. If you wanted to contact the class members for some reason, that can also be handy. All right, this next button is the Discussions tab, and so this is an important tab to be familiar with. I do have links to all the discussion questions in the content, and they're also here. I wanted to point out a couple of things here. This is the rubric that I'll use to grade all of your discussions. You want to make sure that you carefully read this so you understand how your discussion is being graded. All of the discussions are graded on a scale of 0 to 16 points, and so you can earn up to 16 points for each discussion. If you look here, there's a list of each discussion's questions, so if you want to get an idea of what the discussions look like, you can look at that. They're unlocked for each week for that course. You need to post a response for most of them before you see anyone else's response. And if you click on these, you won't be able to take a look at it, or you won't be able to reply to it yet. But what I wanted to show you here is the rubric. So again, that's linked here, and I will use this rubric to grade. This is the same rubric as you saw at the top of the discussions list, to grade each of your discussions. And I'll show you where you can see that rubric once it's completed for each weekly discussion question. So this is the Discussions tab. Again, make sure that you are very aware of the discussion requirements and carefully review those. That information's on the content page. So I have the discussion requirements both in the syllabus and then these guidelines here. So make sure that you understand what is expected of you for the weekly discussions. Next is the Dropbox. This is where all of your assignments will be submitted. So you'll notice for each of these there's also a PDF here. That is the assignment description that's attached here. When you're going to submit a paper, you would click on the Dropbox, and then here you would, you can again download the file if you'd like to, but if you come down here, if you add a file, you can upload right from your computer. So if you just click on upload, you can go out to your computer, out to your documents, find a document, click on it, and then you'll see it here, and then you hit add. And that you'll see it once you hit add, you'll see it appear that you've added a file, and you can just click submit. You don't need to write anything in the comments section, but what you do need to do is to make sure that you put your name on your paper so that it's actually there when I open up the document, and make sure that you submit all of your papers as Word documents. I will then grade your papers, and once they're graded, I will leave you some feedback. So you'll see here when you have feedback, it'll look like a little talking bubble, and you can click on that, and then you'll be able to look at the feedback for that particular assignment. So you can feel free to take a look at all of these assignments in the beginning of the course. Again, familiarize yourself with what's happening in the class. This next tab here is for quizzes, and if you look here, you'll see links to your quizzes for that particular semester. Quizzes are open until their end date, so if you're somebody that likes to work ahead, you can certainly complete quizzes early. You can also submit written assignments early. The only thing you cannot submit early are discussion questions. So you'll see here for each quiz, it'll give you the time allowed, 1 attempt. When you're ready to begin, you click Start Quiz, and this will ask you if you're ready to start the quiz. And then you can go ahead and take that quiz, submit it, and then you'll see your score right away. Finally, here is the Grades tab, and here's where you'll be able to see all of your grades for each of the assignments that you do here in this course. And so you'll see the points, the percentage grade. If there's a rubric attached to it, that's what this button is, so you can click on that Assessment Details and you'll see that particular rubric. You'll also be able to see any feedback that I give you here. So you want to make sure that you are keeping track of your grades in the class, you know where you stand in the course. So that's a basic overview of this class. Please let me know if you have any questions, and again, here's my contact information is under the content section of the course, and right here is a little bit of information about the course and about me, and then contact information is right here. So make sure that you contact me if you have any questions at all about the course. I'm really looking forward to this class, and I hope you have a great semester.